Okay, so today we're gonna talk about how to take a derivative of a function which is a fraction, and how to take the antiderivative of a function which is a fraction. And this question is from 2019 VCE Math Methods, um, part 1. So this is the first question, and this is the part A of the first question. Okay, so in the question they ask, they give you this symbol to find this, right? So every time you see a small line on top of the letter F, it means to find the derivative of the given function. Okay, so that's kind of a notation that we have to understand. And the first thing that we should do when we see this kind of a question is to identify this function is a fraction, right? So then we have to apply the rules that we apply to find the derivative of a fraction, right? So to find the derivative of a fraction, there is a rule that I'm gonna write down here. Okay, so let's say f over g is a fraction, right? So the f is the numerator, g is the denominator. So to find the derivative of a fraction, we just find the derivative of the numerator times the denominator minus derivative of the denominator times the numerator divided by denominator squared. So this is a rule that we always have to apply when we try to find the derivative of a fraction. Okay, let's apply this. So what is f in this fraction? It is f. The derivative of a constant is 0. And what is g? Is 3x minus 1. What is the derivative of g here? So 3x minus 1. So 3x, derivative of 3x is 3. And minus 1, derivative of 1 is 0. So derivative of g is 3. Okay, let's apply all of this into this question. So it is f dash x is equal to, so derivative of f, which is 0, times g 3x minus 1 minus derivative of g 3 times f, which is 1, divided by g squared, so 3x minus 1 squared, right? So now we can simplify this. 0 times something is going to be 0 always. 3 times 1 is 3, divided by 3x minus 1 squared. In other words, negative 3x minus 1 squared. And this is the final answer for the first part of this question, right? Okay, so I would suggest you to write down this rule every time you see a fraction, and then they're asking you to find the derivative of that fraction. Okay, the second part of this question is to find derivative, not the derivative, antiderivative of the given function, which is a fraction. So another name for antiderivative is the integral. So we write integral as like this. So that's the integral sign. So to find the integral of this function, we can rewrite it like this. So this is the normal notation that you have to know to find the integral of the given function. Okay, so integral is it's a little different from derivatives, but once you get the integral, and if you derive, you should get the original answer. That's how you check your work. So normally when I look at this, so to find the integral, we have to do u substitution here. So so there are some steps to do the u substitution too. So I'm gonna make a little box here, and then I'm gonna say let u is equal to 3x minus 1. So I introduced a new variable called u and then I'm saying that new variable is equal to 3x minus 1, which is the denominator of this fraction. And then I'm gonna take the derivative of this du over dx respect to x, which is equal to 3, right? In other words, I can rearrange the dx is equal to du over 3, right? So it is du over 3, right? So now I can substitute here. So 1 over 3x minus 1, which is u, times dx is 1/3 du, right? So I can take this constant out, 1/3, 1 over u times du, right? Now it's simple. We know the rule. When you have a fraction, the integral of the fraction is natural log of that fraction. So it's going to be ln u plus c. We always have to keep the final answer in terms of the variables that they originally gave in the question. So we have to substitute u in terms of original variables. Let me write down that on the top. So from here we're gonna go here. It's gonna say 1/3 ln 3x. Instead of u, I'm gonna say 3x minus 1 plus c. So this is the answer for the second question. All right, so that's how you find the integral of a fraction with use of u substitution. So in the next question, part C, they are asking us to find the derivative of the function at a given point. The point over there is 1. So the question that they gave us was if gx is equal to, let me write down the question. Gx is equal to sine pi x divided by x plus 1. So they want to find, so when you see this notation, so you know the derivative, instead of the general equation, they want us to find at a point, specific point at 1. So when they give us to find the derivative or integral at a specific point, it always has to be a numerical value, right? So here, so gx at 1, the derivative of g at 1. Okay, so so we're gonna apply the same principle that we learned in the first question, right? So the first thing is we have to write down the rule, which is I'm gonna use black color. So it is f over g, right? So f dash x minus f g dash g squared. So this is the rule. And the next thing we can do is we can find what is f in our situation is sine pi x. What is the integral of f? Okay, so this is really good example. So the integral of sine, the derivative of sine is cosine pi x. And then we have to apply the chain rule here. So we have to go ahead and do the derivative inside the sine function, which is pi x, is gonna be pi, right? So this is the chain rule. And the g here is gonna be x plus 1, and it's easy. The derivative of x plus 1 is 1, right? So now we have to apply this here, so to this rule. So it's gonna be, we can write it as x is equal to f dash, which is cosine pi x times pi, g times g is x plus 1 minus f is sine pi x. G dash is 1 divided by g squared is gonna be x plus 1 squared. Okay, so you guys can see this. Let me squeeze it in. Pi x plus 1 minus f is sine pi x, and g is just times 1, right? So so they want us to find at 1, right? So what we have to do is we have to put 1 in every place that we see an x, where we see a x. So cosine pi times 1 is going to be pi. Pi is 1 pi, and x is 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2, minus sine pi divided by x is 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, so 2 squared is 4, so it is going to be cosine pi is -1. You can double check it from your calculator, and pi times 2, sine pi is 0 divided by 4. So this is gonna end up becoming over 4, which is equal to -pi/2. And this is the final answer for the question, which is part C.